Found out, right before the wedding, she'd cheated. The weight of the tuxedo felt heavier than it should have. 3 days. 72 hours, give or take, until I was supposed to stand at the altar and say I do to Sarah. My Sarah. The woman I'd built my entire future around. Liam, my best friend since kindergarten, was attempting to adjust my tie in the reflection of the dusty mirror in the back room of the venue. He was trying, but his hands were shaking almost as much as mine. "Dude, relax," he said, his voice a strained whisper. "You look like you're about to face a firing squad, not get married." Easy for him to say. He wasn't the one whose carefully constructed world was currently crumbling around him. I tried to force a smile, but it felt more like a grimace. It had started 3 days ago. Just a stupid notification that flashed across Sarah's phone while she was in the shower. I hadn't meant to look. Curiosity, pure and simple, had gotten the better of me. A name I didn't recognize, David. And a message. "Can't wait to see you. Saturday." A winking emoji. That was all it took. At first, I dismissed it. A work thing maybe? Some harmless flirting from a creepy coworker? I told myself I was being ridiculous, paranoid. Sarah would never. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it sprouted quickly, sending thorny vines through my thoughts. I couldn't shake the image of that winking emoji. It felt like a punch to the gut. That night, I barely slept. Every time Sarah shifted in bed, every soft sigh she made, I was wide awake, analyzing it, searching for some hidden meaning. Was she already regretting this? Was she thinking of him? The next day at work, I was a mess. Numbers blurred, emails swam before my eyes. I couldn't concentrate. I kept replaying the message in my head, dissecting every word. Liam had noticed my distress during our lunch break. After some prodding, I caved and told him everything. He listened patiently, his brow furrowed. "Look, man," he said, "it could be nothing. But you deserve to know. Don't go into this blind." His words were a kick in the pants. I knew he was right. I couldn't just ignore it, hope it would go away. I had to find out the truth, no matter how much it hurt. That evening, I started subtly snooping. I know, it's not my proudest moment. But I was desperate. I checked Sarah's call log. Nothing. I skimmed through her emails. Nothing suspicious. I even tried to guess her passwords for her social media accounts. But no luck. I was starting to feel like I was going crazy. Maybe I was just imagining things. Maybe I was letting my insecurities get the best of me. Then, I remembered her laptop. She rarely used it, preferring her phone for everything. It was usually tucked away in a drawer in her home office. I waited until she was asleep before quietly slipping into the office. My hands were shaking as I opened the laptop and waited for it to boot up. I held my breath as I clicked on her email icon. And there it was. A separate email account, one I didn't know about. My stomach dropped. The messages were explicit, passionate, heartbreaking. Sarah and David had been having an affair for months. They talked about meeting in secret, about stolen moments, about their undeniable connection. One email, dated just a week before, was especially brutal. "I can't wait to be rid of him. You're the one I truly want. Rid of him." That was me. I was the him she wanted to get rid of. I sat there in the dark, staring at the screen, tears streaming down my face. I felt like I'd been sucker punched, like my lungs had collapsed, and I couldn't breathe. Everything I thought I knew about Sarah, about our relationship, about our future, was a lie. I wanted to scream, to break things, to lash out. but all I could do was sit there, numb, the laptop glowing in the darkness. The next morning, I woke up with a splitting headache and a heavy heart. Sarah was already up, humming as she made breakfast. She looked so happy, so carefree. It was sickening. I managed to get through breakfast without saying anything, but every word she spoke, every smile she gave me, felt like a betrayal. I knew I couldn't keep living like this, pretending everything was okay. I had to confront her. But how? And when? I decided to talk to Emily, Sarah's best friend. I knew it was a long shot, but I was desperate for answers. I met Emily for coffee that afternoon. She seemed surprised to see me, but she greeted me with a warm hug. "Everything okay, Mark?" she asked, her brow furrowed. "You seem a little off." "Emily," I said, taking a deep breath, "I need to ask you something. And I need you to be honest with me." I told her what I'd found on Sarah's laptop. I watched as her face paled, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Mark, I don't know what to say," she stammered. I had no idea. I didn't believe her. I could see it in her eyes. She knew. She'd been covering for Sarah all along. "Emily, please," I pleaded. "I need to know. How long has this been going on? Who is David?" She hesitated for a moment, then sighed. "Okay, fine," she said. "But you have to promise you won't tell Sarah I told you. She told me everything." David was someone Sarah had worked with years ago. They had a brief fling, but it ended when Sarah met me. Apparently, they'd reconnected a few months ago, and the affair had been going on ever since. Emily claimed she'd tried to talk Sarah out of it, but Sarah wouldn't listen. She said she was in love with both of us. I felt a surge of anger. How could she be so callous? How could she string me along like this, knowing she was betraying me? I thanked Emily for her honesty, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she was still holding back. That night, I decided to confront Sarah. I couldn't wait any longer. I needed to know the truth, straight from her mouth. I waited for her to come home from her last-minute dress fitting. When she walked in, she was glowing, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Hey, honey," she said, rushing over to hug me. "The dress is perfect. You're going to love it." I pulled away from her embrace. "Sarah," I said, my voice trembling, "we need to talk." Her smile faded. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. "Don't play coy with me, Sarah," I said, my anger rising. "I know about David." Her eyes widened. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. "I read your emails, Sarah," I continued, my voice shaking with rage. "I know everything. How long has this been going on?" Tears started streaming down her face. "Mark, I can explain," she stammered. "Explain what?" "Explain how you've been lying to me for months. Explain how you've been sleeping with another man behind my back. Explain how you were planning to get rid of me." She started sobbing uncontrollably. "Mark, please," she begged. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen." "Didn't mean for it to happen?" I scoffed. "You planned this, Sarah. You deliberately betrayed me." She tried to grab my hand, but I pulled away. "Don't touch me," I said, my voice cold. "Mark, I love you," she cried. "I know I messed up, but please, give me another chance." "Another chance?" I repeated, shaking my head in disbelief. "You destroyed our future, Sarah. There's no another chance." I turned and walked out of the apartment, leaving her sobbing on the floor. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stay there any longer. I spent the night at Liam's apartment, numb and in shock. He tried to comfort me, but there was nothing he could say to make me feel better. The next morning, I woke up with a sense of grim determination. I knew what I had to do. I called my parents and Sarah's parents and told them the wedding was off. They were devastated, but they understood. Then, I called the wedding planner and canceled everything. It was a logistical nightmare, but I didn't care. I just wanted it to be over. Finally, I drove to the wedding venue. It was a beautiful place, overlooking a scenic lake. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. As I walked through the empty reception hall, I imagined Sarah walking down the aisle, her face radiant with joy. But the image was tainted, replaced by the image of her in David's arms. I found Liam standing outside, smoking a cigarette. He saw me and immediately crushed the cigarette under his heel. "Hey man," he said, his voice subdued. "You okay?" I shook my head. "No," I said, "but I will be." I took a deep breath and walked inside. I found Sarah in the bridal suite, getting her hair and makeup done. She looked stunning, but her eyes were red and puffy. She saw me and gasped. "Mark," she said, her voice trembling, "what are you doing here?" "I came to tell you it's over," I said, my voice firm. "I can't marry you, Sarah. Not after what you've done." Her face crumpled. "Mark, please," she begged. "Don't do this. Not here. Not now." "I should have done this a long time ago," I said. But I was too blinded by love. I turned and walked out of the bridal suite, leaving her sobbing behind me. As I walked through the reception hall, I saw the wedding guests arriving. They looked confused and concerned. I stopped in front of them and took a deep breath. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice trembling, "but there won't be a wedding today. Sarah and we've decided to call it off." A murmur went through the crowd. People started whispering, pointing, staring. I didn't care. I just wanted to get out of there. As I walked away from the venue, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. It was over. The lie was over. The pain was just beginning, but at least I was free. I don't know what the future holds for me. I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust anyone again. But I do know one thing: I deserve better. And I will find it. I started driving, not having a destination in mind. As I was driving, I received a text message. It was from an unknown number. It had a picture attached. They were at an airport, embracing and smiling. The caption read, "Thanks for everything. Sucker off to our honeymoon."